All right, now I really truly call to order this meeting of the Thompson-Nicola Regional District for September the 5th, 2024. The TNRD acknowledges that we connect with many First Nations communities across our vast regional district. Today, we are located on the Tecumloops-Secwepemc territory, situated within the unceded ancestral lands of the Secwepemc Nation. The TNRD appreciates the partnership that we have with Tecumloops-Secwepemc and respects the territory and land on which we gather today. All right, TNRD director update. We had 3 Michaels and 2 Lees, and now we suddenly have 2 Robs at the stroke of a pen. We have alternate director Rob Kerslake from the District of Barrier, who is here for the time being in place of Director Stamer, who has taken a leave of absence. And many of you had a chance to meet Rob O'Toole from Sun Peaks, who is here for Director Rain. So welcome to the proper meeting place of the TNRD. And we have alternate Director Nancy Beppel here for Director Kelly Hall. Also, the TNRD would like to congratulate 2 of our own, Vice Chair Robin Smith and Director Doug Houghton. Both were recently presented, or one was recently presented with, one is, I understand, soon to be presented with the King Charles III Coronation Medal in recognition of honorable and dedicated service. So just a huge congratulations to Vice Chair Smith and to Director Houghton. That's a good kind of phone call. All right, so we have a library update. The library, the TNRL, is hosting internationally acclaimed author Gail Anderson Dargatz, who hails from Salmon Arm. Gail is the library's 3rd writer in residence, and her lineup of events begins this evening at the Kamloops Library for a meet and greet with readings to follow this Saturday at the Clearwater Library, and then at other branches throughout the Thompson-Nicola Regional Library over the next couple of months. She will be consulting with writers, delivering workshops in libraries across the TNRL. If you're unable to make it to any of her appearances, you can also contact her for a one-on-one in-person session to discuss your writing. And then there will be a gala wrap-up event in December where you'll be able to hear some of the works that have been created along with Ms. Anderson Dargatz at the workshops. So check the TNRL's website for a list of the dates and times of her appearances. Upcoming meetings on October 2nd, we have the Regional Solid Waste Management meeting. Thursday, October 3rd, we have our regular board meeting. Friday, October 4th, there will be a committee of the whole meeting. Wednesday, October 16th, Finance Committee meets. Thursday, October 17th, electoral area directors meeting. And on Thursday, October 17th, regular board meeting. And of course, most of us will be going to the Union of BC Municipalities conference and AGM from the 16th to the 20th of September. Today in your blue folders, you have regular mail and the annual finance reporting and budget schedule. In the event of an emergency, if the alarm sounds, please leave by the safest exit doors, either at the rear of the room or the main entrance to my left. Go down the staircase, exit the building, and assemble in the staff car parking lot at the rear of the Paramount Theatre. Please do not run, do not use the elevators. And if you have mobility problems, tell the General Manager of Legislative and Corporate Services who will assist you. All right. Are there any additions to or deletions from the agenda? Nope. We have the minutes of the regular board meeting held in beautiful Merritt on August the 15th. Director Laird, thank you. Second by Director Smith. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? Carried. Item 6.1, building infraction in area J. Is there anyone here to speak to this item? Item 6.2, building infraction, stop work order, also in area J. Is there anyone here to speak to this? We move on to 7.1, stop work order in Cherry Creek. There is a recommendation. Director Ranta, seconded by Vice Chair Smith. Any discussion on this? Director Grenier.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to ask our planning staff, had they not have the ALC problem, would the building qualify otherwise?
Through the chair, yes. So we would have been able to issue a permit, but without the ALC approval, we cannot. And so our only remedy now with the building there is the notice on title, and then the board could also seek further legal action, which we're not recommending in this case. And the ALC can also take action if they choose, because it's contrary to their regulations, but I'm not sure if they'll be doing anything.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Is anyone opposed? That is carried. Item 7.2, building infraction in Savanaugh. We have a recommendation. Director Thorpe, seconded by Director Stanky. Thank you. Questions or comments? All right, on the question, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. Move on to 8.1, repeal of Tobiano Service Establishment. Director Grenier.
Thank you, Chair. I have to recuse myself because I'm the EA director that signed the documents that you now have to vote on, so I'll just leave.
All right, we have item 8.1, repeal of Tobiano Service Establishment. We do have a recommendation. Thank you, Director Ranta, seconded by Director Blackwell. Any discussion on this? No. All those in favor then? Anyone opposed? That is carried. Just wait for Director Grenier to return. Item 8.2, Vavenby Fire Protection Service Area Amendment Bylaws. Director Sal?
Thank you, Chair. I have a question. So, sorry, do I need to recluse myself from this as well? No,
No.
okay. Thank you.
Okay. So we do have a recommendation. Director Sal's moving the recommendation, Director Thorpe second. Any discussion on this? Questions or comments? All right, then, all those in favor? Is anyone opposed? That is carried. 9.1, floodplain exemption application number FP 143677. We have a recommendation. Director Thorpe, seconded by Director Blackwell. Discussion. Do we have any questions or comments on this? No. All right, on the question then, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? Opposed, Director Getz, no. Director O'Toole? No, who's that? Director Getz, thank you. All right, you're now the one I cannot see. You've replaced Director Morris, so. Okay. So you've got very big shoes to fill. All right, we move on to 10.1 CAO verbal report. CAO Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair Roden, and good afternoon, everyone. I got to get used to everybody in different spots now because I was used to it and know exactly where you were and what you were doing, but now I can't. So I will get there, but I've got just a number of updates for the board today, starting with an EOC update. So last week, we were happy to remove the state of local emergency in Area I and all remaining evacuation alerts and orders that have been removed in the region. Everything is all clear, which is great news. The recovery and cleanup effort is ongoing for the Shetland Creek wildfire, and the TNRD staff and contractors continue to support our impacted residents. I know Director Thorpe yesterday brought up just the thanks that came from the community on our EOC and how we were dealing with them, so I appreciate that. While like fire activity has subsided, conditions are forecasted to be very warm, as we know. I think it was 35 degrees yesterday, so fires are still possible here balance of year. While not operational, our EOC is on kind of day-to-day basis right now, Much work remains to be done on the back end to support EOC activations, particularly reconciling finances and making sure we're getting our money back from the province. A preliminary debrief took place with our EOC staff recently, just about captured lessons learned from the summer to help build kind of a more robust process going forward. We're going to do a more formal multi-agency debrief in the coming weeks. And then finally, the EOC is currently on standby and of course will activate it at a moment's notice. And we have staffing in place as required through October. So good news from an EOC standpoint, finally. Number 2 is the Birch Island Fire Protection Petition. This opened as of August 28th, and it's open until October 4th. This petition will determine whether property owners in Birch Island would like to join the Vavenby Fire Protection Service area. This proposed new service of Birch Island affects 131 properties. For the petition to be successful, at least 50% of the property owners will have to submit a petition form, and they must represent at least 50% of the total tax assessed value in the area. We had a public meeting in Birch Island on August 28th that was very successful. Many of the property owners were there and understood more about the process, and we have mailed a petition form to all addresses within the proposed area. If the petition passes, then fire protection service in Birch Island would start on January 1st, 2025. The next topic is UBCM. It's all coming up quickly. It's less than a week away or close to a week away on September 5th, 15th through 20th. Minister meetings are now confirmed and we're working through those details. We'll be meeting with municipal affairs, agriculture and food, emergency management, climate readiness, forests, citizen services, public safety, and the Solicitor General. So we have I think we have 6 minister meetings right now that we've planned, and we've met with some of the electoral area directors and the other directors this morning on who's going to be speaking for those meetings. But of course, everyone is welcome to those meetings. Staff are working on confirming staff meetings as well, so that you're invited to those as well, because a lot of times we get a lot of work done and a lot of progress when working directly with staff. And we expect to meet with those same ministries, staff, as well as health, transportation, environment, water, land, and resource stewardship as well. Staff will be working to build a detailed schedule for that week. So a lot of the EA directors would have received their binders with all their arrangements, and the entire board will receive both electronic and hard copies. Electronic will come to the whole board, and then the EA directors will receive a more detailed one for the meetings that they're attending for their specific topics. You can expect to receive this all by the end of next week. So we're all prepared for UBCM coming up. The 4th topic is our 2025 budget planning. It's that time of year again, and that planning begins. We're handing out to you today, and you'll see in your blue folders a high-level overview of the key dates and activities scheduled to guide our financial planning through 2024 and early 2025. This is also available on our website as well. Staff essentially plan through the fall, and we will present a draft budget to the board at a workshop in late October, early November. Right now, we've tentatively chosen November 6th as a day before a meeting that we already have scheduled, and to do the all-day workshop on budget like we did last year. We got really great feedback on that one, and we expect to do the exact same type of meeting. In September and October, a public survey will be carried out, which will look for input from the public on their satisfaction within the TNRD services. The budget workshop will include a SWOT analysis presentation, again, by all the general managers and departments, as we did last year. Early 2025 will be dedicated to a year-end closing and audit preparation, with final presentation to the board and publicly scheduled for February and March of 2025 to finalize the budget. These planned activities ensure a thorough and transparent budget process that aligns with our strategic goals and supports our commitment to financial stewardship and organizational excellence. So we're looking forward to, I can't believe it's here already, but we're looking forward to another successful budget season. The 5th topic was around parks and trails and the strategic plan, that new development committee. This meeting took place this week on Tuesday, September 3rd. A new chair and vice chair were voted on, and that's Director Sau as chair and Director Onslow as vice chair. The committee will provide guidance and feedback as part of the 12-month process in developing a strategic plan for our parks and trails for the TNRD. Committee is expected to meet at least 4 times as part of this process and will ultimately review a draft plan, which will come to the board for endorsement in June of 2025. Sherry Madden is the staff lead on this project. Lees and Associates has been hired as the consultants to support the process. At the meeting this week, the committee reviewed the Parks and Trails inventory report and engagement plan. And the first phase of public and stakeholder engagement will begin and continue starting in the next few weeks. I'm happy to tell the board about the TNRL. The library's 50th anniversary is this year. All TNRL locations will be holding signature library events in October to celebrate the library's 50th anniversary. The roster of programs will be shared out shortly, and directors will certainly be invited to the various events in their communities and are welcome to come to any of those and bring greetings. And then finally, the official community plan review, and I just want to provide a status update. We're now scheduling 9 public meetings for our OCP reviews for the first 3 weeks of October. Specific dates for each of these venues will be shared shortly. To date, we've received 300 responses to our surveys, community input in October, which will inform policy drafting throughout the winter. And we look forward to the results and bringing back the findings to the board of directors. And with that, I will hand it back for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions for CAO Hildebrand? Director Getz, you are completely invisible. Just put it, okay, just putting that out there. Okay. All right, no questions for CAO Hildebrand. Thank you very much for that. All right, we move on to 10.1.2, Community Service Officer Contract with the City of Kamloops. Director Sarai.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to recuse myself as I have a family member that works as a CSO.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we do have item 10.1.2. We do have a recommendation. Chief Librarian Moore, did you want to speak any further to this? Thank you for the excellent report, though. If you feel the report said everything you need to say, that's absolutely fine.
Thank you, Chair Roden. I believe that I've captured most of the details in what has been a very successful pilot of the Community Service Officer Program at the North Kamloops Library. So all the facts and figures are in your report. I think for me, as probably one of the members at the Canadian Urban Libraries Council that represents chief librarians from across the country, this is a model that is exemplary. We, as you can see in terms of incidents, dramatically decreased at the North Kamloops Library. And the CSO role, and I just like to highlight this, the CSO role and their specialized training brings just such value to us in that for individuals who are experiencing homelessness, drug addiction, mental health issues, they are actually engaging with them and working on plans to house, to look for treatments, treatment, et cetera, for them. So in terms of what you would see in a regular security role, which would be patrolling a facility, for example, and keeping it safe, they go that extra step in terms of engagement and looking for suitable solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do have a recommendation. Oh, CAO Hildebrand.
Sorry, thank you, Chair. I just also wanted to just talk about the great partnership we have with the City of Kamloops and the staff that we worked with over the last over the year during the pilot of this project, and then the work that we've done together. I think this really just shows how important it is to work with our municipalities and some things like this, and having uniformed CSO officers here is, like to Judy's point, is extremely important. And I just wanted to thank them publicly.
Thank you very much. And thank you for coming up with this solution that keeps our libraries open and not intimidating for people. I've said it before and I will say it again, that libraries are the most inclusive, welcoming, non-judgmental spaces we have in our society. And I think we need to keep them open. And this is, I think, an excellent step in ensuring that that libraries are safe and welcoming for everyone who is using them. And we do have a recommendation. Who would like to move that? Director Blackwell, thank you. Director Morris, thank you. Second. Is seconding that. Do we have any questions or comments? All right, Director Karpuk and then Director Sal.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of quick questions about this. So with placement of a CSO officer, we're going to say use this building as an example, the downtown library. Are they going to be confined to being within the building? Are they going to be doing patrols on the outside of the building? Like what is I didn't see that in the report. Maybe it's clear as it could be. And I guess my second question is going to be about capacity. Is this going to be a new hire through the city? Because the city is already sort of dealing with just getting to capacity from my perspective of our own needs. So are we taking some from Kamloops to give to the TNRD? So I just need some clarity on the capacity where these staff members are going to come from.
CEO Hildebrand?
Thank you, Chair, through to Director Karpuk. All those questions were discussed with staff from an operational standpoint, and we were very comfortable with how the service is going to work here. So the person will be, the CSO officer will be based here. We'll be doing checks around the building in the area, downstairs, upstairs, all through the area. And it'll be set to the schedule that we are open for the library. For those that may not know, the city actually owns 25% of this building, and we work closely together on that. From a staffing standpoint, we were assured by Kamloops staff that this was part of their plan and recruitment. I just don't know if they chose to hire new or to do that within. I don't know that detail, but I know they said they were very comfortable with what the plan was.
Thank you, Director Sal.
Thank you, Chair. Perhaps to staff, this service is to address issues such as, addiction, homelessness, maybe even crime. All these are symptoms or results of issues that are outside of TNRD regional districts, jurisdictions. So I wonder has there been any outreach to the province, public safety, Ministry of Health to cover some of these costs? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the question, Director Sal. Our responsibility as a regional district is to provide security in this building either way. So we just felt like this was a much better model that actually worked with the entire community, worked with this demographic to really help support them and us at the same time, and felt like it was the right partnership. So either way, we needed to pay for security and just found that this was the most efficient and proactive way to manage it.
Director Ranta.
Yeah, I just have a question related to the 3% annual inflationary increase. My understanding presently is that the inflation rate is about 2.7%. And I think we see that the central banks are working towards a 2% inflation rate. And we're contemplating for 5 years, 3% annual inflation. How does that compute?
Thank you. Through the chair to Director Ranta. So when CFO Fox, the CFO for the city of Kamloops and our working group were working on these numbers, it needed to take into account the increases for the staff. So I believe that the city is in a collective agreement with QP that provides for those percentages. So what we didn't want to do is actually have to come back to the board. We anticipate that these 3% increases are actually at the higher amount. And what we will see is in fact, a lesser amount that we will be paying. So the way the recommendation reads in terms of that for the remaining months, because the CSOs are going to be coming on board October the 1st, there is an additional amount as well. A 3% inflationary increase because we can't entirely predict that. So we erred on the side of slightly higher when in fact it may come in lower. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, we do have a motion. All those in favor? Is anyone opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Just go tell Director Sarai that the pleasure of his company is requested. All right, next we have item 10.1.3 amendments to board policy 5.4.1 insurance requirements for TNRD contractors. There is a recommendation.
Move the recommendation.
Vice Chair Smith, seconded by Director Newstader. Thank you. Any questions or comments on this? Policy Committee did have an opportunity to go over this yesterday and check for any amendments, tweaks, edits. There were nothing. Who's laughing at me? That's Director Bass laughing at me. I am an editor. What can I say? But it did not materially change. We need to get this in place quickly because it is coming up time to hire snow removal contractors as the temperature hits 36 degrees. So recommendation, we have that on the floor. Anyone have any questions? Director Sarai,
Move the recommendation. Okay.
it's already been moved. You were so busy trying to remember where your new seat was that you didn't hear that. All right, do we have any questions or comments? On the question, then all those in favor? Opposed, if any? That is carried. All right, we have a number of items for information correspondence. We do have 11.1.3. I was just wanting some clarification on this item. Mr. Vieira, I understand we have a policy in place and I'm wondering if you could walk us through what that looks like in relation to 11.1.3.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. So that correspondence is related to our community cleanup event policy. So it's policy number 10.3.1, originally adopted by the board 2014 and amended in 2022. I think just for context, I just wanted to briefly review this with the board. It's a brief policy that has two sections, one being clarification around when we expand hours at our transfer stations or landfills to accommodate community cleanup events, and then clarifying the criteria for when fees are waived for a community cleanup. So specifically the materials waived if it's a nonprofit agency doing the community cleanup. It's acceptable under our solid waste bylaw, and that it's not for benefit of private individuals or businesses, and it's material collected from public or crown property, road rights of ways, or parkland. So the intent of the policy was to clarify that there's often, I guess, different interpretations of what a community cleanup event is. So to clarify that this is material from public land that was illegally dumped or litter that is being cleaned up by the community or a volunteer group to bring into the transfer station. We found there was a lot of additional pressure around these events when the board, I guess it's going on 6 years ago now, ended the free dump days that were kind of community wide. And this policy was put in place after that.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions or comments about any of the information correspondence? No? All right, we move on to item 12, new business. I understand there are a couple. We have Director Grenier and Director Houghton and Director Laird. Director Grenier.
Thank you, Chair. Yesterday at the EA meeting, the issue of Ministry of Transportation and some of the works that we had heard from Ministry of Transportation earlier this year, we were inquiring as to a status of those works. There were 3 works in Area J, the Tronquil Chris Creek Road upgrade, the left turn signal on Rodeo Drive, and then recently a speed reduction at Cherry Creek. And I believe Director Smith had an issue too, and I understand we have an update.
CEO Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair Roden, through to the directors. After that discussion yesterday at the EA committee meeting, I had reached out to one of my connections at Ministry of Transportation and posed these questions just to save some time and energy and letter writing and motions and resolutions, and thought we'd get some direct answers. And so I have an update on all four of those. We can still certainly bring them up during any staff meetings or minister meetings at UBCM. But wanted to put this on the public record if I could. So RAP on Tranquil Cross Creek, the plan for that is to complete this fall. Currently working with the contractor to confirm mobilization dates. District team will keep you updated, is what they've told us. I know Director Grenier has reached out to them directly. They say end of September, beginning of October. This response is saying that's being done in fall, and this is coming from the executive director, Modi. So I'm hoping that this is going to, I'm pretty confident this is actually going to move forward. So that's the update on that one. The speed reduction in 70 mile. So the update there is traffic engineers will be on site in September to review this request and provide recommendations. I expect to be able to update this in late fall, Director Smith. So you'll get an answer on their recommendations here in the next month or two. Rodeo Drive left turn. This is a project that remains a high priority for the ministry. It's still subject to receiving funding for design. We will be submitted again for engineering funding as part of the next budget cycle that'll be happening in the first quarter of 2025. So we are hopeful there. And then the last one is Cherry Creek, and what they were able to tell me that was a speed reduction. And I've driven this. I know exactly the spot we're talking about. This request just came up recently and they have engaged their traffic engineers to conduct a review. The district team will update you once they have a schedule, and expect it could be done later this fall as well, depending on other commitments, but that's the hope. So maybe not a perfect answer, but it's certainly on their radar.
And supplemental to that, what we learned over the last few days in discussing with Modi is that they have certain deadlines that come up with change of governments and with their financial reviews. And it would be useful, I think, if we coordinated with their staff, with our staff on these specific projects, so that we don't miss, oh, you missed the funding window for that, and now you got to wait a year for the next funding window. So that's particularly important in electoral areas where we don't do the roads. Modi does the roads. I guess in the municipalities, you do your own roads, but we need to have that coordination. We've talked about that yesterday in the EA meeting. So,
Chair Roden, if I could just add to that, I think you're right. We need to coordinate with that all year long. But UBCM is the right time, because that's when you have staff and ministers there, so that it's being prepared for the following year's budget. So I think that might be the highlight or the pinnacle of that discussion, but we need to continue to bring it up all year long.
Thank you, Director Houghton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll direct this to Jamie. A couple of meetings ago, I think it was under new business, I brought up, I've had one request, and now it's only one, but of possibly the appetite of the city of Kamloops possibly expanding their fire protection in just the fringe areas of Knutsford. That one of them, like Rose Hill Road, in order to get to where the city is up where Duluths are, you pass through a lot of unprotected houses that are in the TNRD, because the TNRD in the city kind of goes like that up there. Is there any appetite, or could we talk to the city? We have various city councilors here. If there's an appetite of maybe looking at coverage just on the fringe areas of Knutsford and having a fire protection system like we do, like with the Camps Indian Band or something like that.
Through the chair to Director Houghton, thanks for that. I can speak from TNRD perspective, not from the cities, obviously. And for the board, for information, we have many examples like that where we contract with municipalities to provide fire protection services. We don't have any in place with the city of Kamloops. I have actually just recently had a preliminary discussion with staff at the city of Kamloops about the possibility of that. So we're going to continue those discussions. But obviously very early on in preliminary stage. Just for information for the board, if there were to be interest in a possibility, then that would be a new service establishment that would take place. And the model would be taxation of TNRD residents to fund a contract with a municipality or with Kamloops to provide that service.
Director Laird.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Everybody received a letter in their file, in their blue folder. This is a conclusion to a year or more long process on Harmon Estates fire protection. And I'll just read the conclusion because that basically sums it up. As the residents considered that the combination of taxation and pardon me, and protection provided is unsatisfactory, and the prior efforts to resolve the matter have been unsuccessful, I therefore request a preliminary meeting under section 359 of the Local Government Act to review the terms and conditions of participation and negotiate a fair method of taxation for the service. Now, this is quite a long process we went through. I think if you read the whole report that we're sending into municipal affairs, it basically lays out the amount of time and effort that staff and myself have put in trying to solve this issue. And I don't know if you have any other questions. Greg and I talked about it. Mr. Lewis, if you have questions, maybe Mr. Lewis like to run through it and give a brief explanation.
Thank you. I was just going to say, I'm somewhat familiar with this because I've been seeing some of the correspondence, but I realize a lot of people will not be. So I was going to ask Corporate Officer Lois if he could please just give us the Coles Notes summary of the issue, please.
Just one other. This is not a board motion. It's basically I make the decision whether or not we go for the review of the service. And my recommendation is that we go for the review so that it's just bringing TNRD board members up to speed on what we've been working at in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So obviously, as a regional district board, you're all aware that the services are different in different areas, and electoral areas or parts of electoral areas can choose to be part of different services. And so you all represent communities which receive different services and are taxed differently in order to receive those. This item revolves around a dispute or residents' concern about the value for money proposition of the fire protection service in areas M and N, specifically by the residents of Harmon Estates on the north shore of Nicola Lake. The Local Government Act does lay out the provisions for how dispute resolution should be handled in the event that residents are unhappy with the service they're receiving. And that's the process which Director Laird is instituting at this point. So the requirement that must be filed in order to initiate a service review is that the service participant, which in this is represented by the electoral area director, must write to the board of the regional district, so that's the letter that you have received today, any other service participants, in this instance, that's Director Graham, and also to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs, advising them that they are seeking a service review. This review must involve a series of negotiations where all parties attempt to resolve the issues that have been raised in the letter. And if after 8 months or more of negotiations, the matter cannot be satisfactorily resolved to all parties, then it is possible to advance to a service withdrawal process, which could result in the termination of the service. It's a somewhat lengthy and complicated process, and as Director Laird has indicated, this is simply the beginning. The letter that he has sent has initiated a service review. We will now, as the board, have to initiate a preliminary meeting in order to begin these negotiations. The parties to those negotiations will be Director Laird as the initiator, Director Graham as the other participant in the service, and either Chair Roden or another member of the board who is appointed in order to represent the board, and if they so wish, the Ministry of Municipal Affairs. And so that's the place that we are at this point on this matter.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Director Sarai?
Yeah, understanding it's just gonna be the member, the area director, but if I have a question, it would be, it said they had adequate protection before it went from Lower Nicola to the city of Merritt. What changed there?
I can advise on that issue is that particular paragraph of the letter is describing part of the history of the area M&N Fire Protection Service. And that was noting that there was another community which is no longer part of that bylaw because of that transfer. That in particular was an issue where the Lower Nicola Fire Protection Service was able to provide service further west than the city of Merritt can within a reasonable response time. And as Director Laird's residents are concerned that the people kind of in the mirror situation on the far east of the service area are not able to receive a response that they consider adequate.
Okay. Thank you very much. Alternate Director Beppel.
Thank you. I just wanted to update the board that I've been appointed again to FCM committees. The first meetings will be, there's a few meetings in a couple of weeks just for orientation. And then November, there's advocacy days in Ottawa. And as in the past few years, the #1 goal for the FCM is to get a new fiscal arrangement with the federal government for money that comes from the federal government to local government. I'm happy to answer any questions now or just moving towards November. I know last year I asked for some examples. So I might be asking for some examples again for when we meet with the MPs to try to explain how things aren't working well in terms of funding that's coming or lack of funding for things like new water systems and that sort of thing. So thanks.
Thank you and congratulations on your appointments again. Is there any other new business? Director Graham?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On our last out-of-town board meeting, we had the opportunity to go to the TNRD Park in Lower Nicola, Pioneer Park. It is now. I'm pretty sure that everybody was impressed by the state of the park now, but it wasn't always that lovely. And we took photos at the beginning, was over 10 years ago, put those photos into a PowerPoint, and it will be available on the TNRD website now. And I encourage everyone to have a look and see what two directors are capable of doing with the community building funds. Thank you.
And if you need an excuse to check out Smith Pioneer Park again, their Garlic Fest is coming up on the 28th and the 29th of September. So if you missed the Laclahash Garlic Fest and you want your fill of garlic, head over to Smith Pioneer Park. And just a reminder that the zip line, Director Newstater, is for children.
My apologies.
C.A. Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair Roden. Just to add to Director Graham's comments, there was an email sent out by Livia just moments ago with the link to the video that Director Graham was speaking to.
Thank you. Any other new business? Are you, the public inquiry session is coming up if that's what you're waiting for? Okay, this is new business from directors. So, well, no, I see you there. We'll get you in just a minute. Any other new business from directors? No? We move on to notice of motion. Director Smith, would you like to read this one out? I look to where you used to be. You're not there anymore. Oh, there you are. Corporate Officer Lois.
Thank you, Chair. So this is the notice of motion presented by Director Smith at the out-of-town board meeting, whereas the TNRD has a dangerous dog control service and bylaw in electoral areas A, I, J, M, N, O, and P. Therefore, be it resolved that staff be directed to investigate expanding the dangerous dog control service to include areas E and L, including providing information relating to costs, operational impacts, and public assent.
Okay, well, actually, so you can first it because I don't think Corporate Officer Lois can actually make the motion. So Director Sarai makes the motion, Director Morris seconds it. Is there any discussion on this? Director Onslow?
Thank you. I'd like to include area B in that as well, please.
So we can amend that to include area B as well. That does not need a.
That can be a easy, friendly amendment with the consent of Directors Sarai and Morris.
You both consent to that? It's all right. Okay, thank you. Any discussion on this? So we will be getting a report about the costs of expanding the service. All right, on the question then, all those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. And now we move on to question period. Members of the public have an opportunity to ask questions. And you've got 2 minutes to ask your question and you direct it to me and then it could be staff who answer it. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you, sir. If you could just state your name and your address, please.
Hey, everybody, how you doing? My name is Rick Allen. I'm from 2216 Paul Lake Road, and this is my wife. She lives there too. The reason we're here, I guess I got 2 minutes to ask this. It's sort of ended up being something we've done every year in our community, which is a lake cleanup. We've done it for the last 12 years. This year we have applied for our annual letter to be able to put stuff in the bin. And we've been jumping through hoops for the TNRD for the last month or so now. I think the problem that we found from what I can gather is a jurisdictional issue. You guys are in charge of a certain part of Lake Foreshore, Crown Lands, and then the province is in charge of the waters. Am I correct with that? Okay.
Yep.
Anyway, the thing is that a lot of the docks that we take out of the lake are abandoned. In fact, all of them are. They're full of styrofoam, treated lumber, all kinds of bad stuff that's bad for our environment and bad for our water supply. Sue's got a bunch of pictures here.
Just who do I direct these to that I took abandoned dogs?
Sure.
Okay.
Anyway, the styrofoam in particular is hard on the environment for our local wildlife like turtles and ducks and amphibians. And actually, the amphibians have kind of made a comeback in our community this year, which is kind of nice to see. We've talked to staff here at the TNRD, and what it comes down to is a matter of cost for the bin. We were told by staff that the top end of the cost is about $1,200. You do it by weight, I understand. Is that correct? Okay, so we figured that since we started this program, we've probably taken 100 truckloads of garbage out of that lake. We've also expanded into Pinatan as well as East Paul Lake. Last year, we took 14 truckloads of garbage out of both lakes. To date, it's probably around 100, like I say, 100 truckloads of garbage. So it seems to be working for our amphibians, and it's also working for our water quality as well. If it's a matter of tipping fees, we would like the TNRD to see the value in this program. It's a community-driven program that we've been doing for the last 12 years, and give us a shot at keeping our lake clean as well as Pinatan. We're also thinking of expanding to Hyas and anybody else who wants to do it on this date. Sue has been the spearhead of this for the last 12 years. She's the reason that we do lake cleanup. I just put the stuff in the truck. So really what it comes down to is $1,200, $100 a month. And you're getting the labor for free, the fuel for free, and we're more than happy to do it. We were told by staff that if the dock is in the lake, it becomes the area of responsibility through the conservation officers, British Columbia. I've worked with conservation officers. I know there's only 2 of them in this area. And they're a lot busier than you think. They're not going to be busy trying to take docks out of our lake, especially if we're able to do it. So that's our ask is let us take the docks, wood, styrofoam, barrels, everything out. It's great to say that because the TNRD hasn't been involved in this for the last 12 years, we've managed to do that. But this year we're being, basically our hands are being
It's
tied.
something that's so simple that is now so complicated.
Yeah.
And it just,
And it's
frustrating.
frustrating to us. It's frustrating to the people that are involved up at Paul Lake and Pinneton Lake. We don't see the reason behind it. It's a matter of doing the right thing for the environment, for our water supply. And yeah, if it's $1,200, then
And that's max.
That's
Like, we
max.
very seldom fill up a bin. It's like maybe 10, 14 truckloads. That's not gonna fill up one of those blue bins, and a lot of it is styrofoam and like little pieces of styrofoam.
And that's
We
what
take
the-
nets and
yeah.
Scoop the lake out, you know? We have turtles.
Yeah.
All sorts of critters.
So I guess that's our ask. We're hoping that the TNRD can see the value of this and give us a break on this tipping fee for one day. We listen to this gentleman, maybe it's a moot point for us to be standing in front of you now, but hopefully any and all garbage that is in the water up on the foreshore or near the lake can be taken away.
We took out an naloxone kit the other day.
Yeah.
Out off the foreshore.
We're finding
There's a
all
bunch
kinds of stuff.
garbage there. These are things that are unacceptable to the community and all the critters that live there.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy. And so, anyway, we're taking styrofoam out of the lake this year, just so you know.
We did a survey, actually. We went around the whole perimeter of Paul Lake. We've been doing this, like I say, for the last 12 years. We've actually found 3 derelict docks that we've taken all the styrofoam and old barrels out of already. We'd like to see those removed as well. But the great thing is that this year is the first year we did the north side of the lake, and we only got 1 garbage can of trash out of the lake. Before it was like my barge is 16 by 16 and we'd fill the barge every
Yeah.
year. So like I said, I understand the jurisdictional issues, but jurisdiction should not stand in the way of doing what's right for the community, for the water, for the animals, for us.
Just so you know,
Okay.
this is a picture, sorry.
Yep.
This is a picture, I know you can't see it, of East Hall Lake that took, this is a couple of years ago, actually. They took out a bunch of derelict docks and they took the stuff, rebuilt it for their fire brigade
So they actually use it for the fire
to
department.
fill up the, whatever they do over there, right? So not all of the stuff is going to the dump. We're doing our best to recycle and
Anyway, does anybody have any
Okay.
questions?
Thank you very much. Oh, thank you, first of all, for your work on behalf of the lakes, Paul and Pinneton Lakes. It's not an area I'm familiar with, sadly. I'm from Ashcroft, but I understand it is quite lovely. Thank you for your dedication, that of you and the other volunteers. So I understand your ask is to be able to take these docks up out of the water, take them apart and dispose of them at an approximate cost of up to $1,200.
Max, yeah.
Right. Do I have a staff member who'd like to address this issue?
Yes,
Mr.
thank you,
Vieira?
Chair. I'll provide some clarification to the board. So the fee waiver letter that's required and they have requested for this cleanup has been issued. So if you refer to the correspondence in the agenda, you'll see the correspondence that took place confirming that. What we've also offered is that we're willing to work with the community association specifically on abandoned docks, but that it's more appropriate to deal with those on a one-off basis, because as I reviewed the policy, the intent is not to the board's community cleanup policy is not to remove all and any environmental hazards. It's specifically litter cleanup, illegal dumping. So we can review illegally dumped docks or abandoned docks on a one-off basis, and that has been the request to work with the association on that. And the correspondence I received back is they did not want to do that. They just wanted everything to go on the one day, which causes operational challenges. And that's the back and forth discussion that we've had. But for clarity, the cleanup letter has been issued that the fees are waived for everything that fits within our policy for their September 7th event.
Okay, the cleanup, the waiver letter, says in it, no old abandoned dogs are allowed, in the letter. So, and as far as, like, we do all the work, so I don't know, I don't understand why it's such a big deal to just say, okay, you get a free bin for all the lake cleanup, no household garbage, none of that, just lake cleanup, be it styrofoam, docks, garbage, naloxone kits, whatever. Why is that such a hard thing? Like, I don't get it.
I think it's because the docks do not fall in the scope of a cleanup.
Actually, they do.
Mr. Vieira, and sorry, this is public inquiry, so you've asked a couple of questions. We're trying to answer them. And I understand that a solution has been offered in terms of to work with you with the docks as a standalone issue to deal with those separately from the cleanup. So I understand that that offer was made and it was refused. Is that correct, Mr.?
We never got that offer.
Mr. Vieira?
Yeah, I could provide some clarification. We are concerned that there, and we saw some communication through social media that led us to believe that there was privately owned docks that were being dismantled and disposed of as part of the free disposal day. And so that's why we just provided clarification. This is for waste material on public land. If there's an issue with abandoned docks, let's deal with that separately, not as so then we can assess where the dock is and that it's eligible within the program and it's not privately owned. If there's a privately owned dock that someone has, then it's their duty and we can work with the Conservation Officer Service to enforce that that's an environmental hazard, and then the owner should be responsible for the fees.
We don't take belong to people.
All right, and I understand Director Morris that you wanted to say something.
Yeah, thank you. Very briefly, thank you for both of you. We've had a couple of conversations and obviously a pretty difficult issue. And I do want to thank you very much for obviously has been, I think, 12 years of work on particularly this lake and the work that you've done as volunteers is incredible. Jamie, thank you for the clarification that I needed to have a better understanding of these issues as well. And so I leave it at that right now in terms of any additional information you would like to add, Jamie, but and I'll be up there on Saturday as well. I've come up and visit, so we'll see. Is there anything else, Jamie, that you want me to add in at this point? We're good. Okay, Scott.
And I realize that you would like to have this dealt with all on the same day, which is 2 days from now, if I'm understanding the dates correctly. I would like to encourage you to speak with staff who I know have reached out to you to discuss, the issue of the docks separately, because from what I understand from reading and from hearing about it, it is a complex issue. It crosses jurisdictions. There is going to be a cost, and I'm sorry you find that amusing. It does. It crosses jurisdictions. It also would be setting for a precedent. I do not know how many 100 lakes we have in the TNRD and how many abandoned docks. So we are offering you an opportunity to sit with staff who I know would like to work with you to address this issue. So I would suggest that you meet with staff and set up a meeting and see if you can come to an arrangement to deal with these docks in an appropriate manner, one-off. CAO Hildebrand.
Thank you, Chair Roden. I also wanted to just acknowledge the hard work and the volunteerism over the last 12 years because it doesn't go unnoticed. I was on the call with the residents and having that call, and we did offer to work with them on a one-on-one basis for the docks. It's a policy issue. The board provides us with the guidelines on how we execute this. The only people that can actually allow us to change that policy would be this board. So staff are going to make sure that we are following the policy as it's approved and authorized by the board. We are willing to do that and work with you. And we really do appreciate your work. And we'll continue to work with you. We've already waived the fees. We've offered actually a second bin if need be. So we will do everything we can to make it work. We just need to follow the rules and the expectations and the jurisdictions that are set before us.
Any other directors have any questions or comments? No? All right. Thank you very much. Are there any other public inquiries, questions from the public? All right, we have no need of a closed meeting, so we are adjourned.